It's been about a month since I went and watched The Mandalorian and Grogu. I guess, I went to watch it the first Friday that it released. And as someone who's a pretty big fan of The Mandalorian, I was genuinely excited to go see this film. I went in with no expectations. Honestly, I saw the trailers. They didn't really get me too hyped for the movie, but I really went in with an open mind and I said, look, I just want to go watch this movie, enjoy Star Wars on the big screen, maybe have a little bit of fun with it. And that's that. And that's pretty much exactly what I got. When I was first watching the couple opening sequences, so I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but it kind of felt like John Wick meets The Mandalorian. Like he was doing all of these action scenes and it was just a good time. The soundtrack had a banger of a song which I know a lot of people have heard already. And so when I'm reading all of these reviews, watching a lot of this feedback online about the movie, I totally understand where everyone is coming from because honestly, like the story is super super generic. Like there's nothing to write home about the story, but I think that point alone has been getting pushed so hard in that it made people feel like it is Star Wars, or at least Star Wars fans started to make people feel like that they couldn't just enjoy this movie. Critics, like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff, they're looking at a movie from that type of perspective. Is this a beginning, middle, and end movie well put together? The story is cohesive and it makes sense. So actually, let's pull that up real quick and what they were actually looking at. So pulling up Rotten Tomatoes, you can see that the tomato meter was 62%. I think it came out at 62%, but you can see the popcorn meter is 87%. And Rotten Tomatoes is an interesting one, right? Because it really just comes down to, did someone think the movie was decent enough and it gets like a tomato? I think that's kind of how it works. I don't know. But just regardless, just basing this off the score, someone might see 62% and they say it's okay. Which honestly, if I was rating this on the story aspect of it, I would probably give it close to like a 6 out of 10. But if you're just judging this from a perspective of, hey, is this a fun, enjoyable movie? I think it gets like an 8.2 out of 10. Honestly, there was not any point in the movie that I felt bored. And that's where just going back to Star Wars fans just don't know how to have fun anymore. I think we can be, or Star Wars fans can really just be their own worst enemy when it comes to demanding perfection. Star Wars is one of those where it started at such a high point, meaning A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. They're such strong movies that it kind of was only down from there in a way. And I think it's going to take a little bit of time. And I don't know if we'll ever hit that peak as far as story again, but especially like with The Mandalorian, I don't think this movie was ever meant to be like this blockbuster story hitting thing. They definitely could have done a better job, but I think it did what it needed to do. I think as far as like coming back after 7 years, I think everybody was hoping that they had some grand like movie, but it was enjoyable. And I think everybody should go watch it. They shouldn't protest or anything. Like, I guess it's not the right word is not protest, but as far as like just go into this movie, and if you haven't watched it already, watch it at home. Go into this movie expecting to have fun. Get your kids, your whole family together, and you can sit down and enjoy this movie, especially because someone like Grogu brings in the kids. And that's what they're really pushing. And in this movie, they allude to so many times that someone is going to need to take care of Grogu when he's gone. Like Rhoda, uh, it says that I want to say like two, 3, maybe 4 times during this movie, and so it's seems like Disney is kind of setting up their characters now. I think I'm kind of hoping, at least for the next project, it's something that's a little bit more disconnected from everything that they have going on. I know they need to wrap up like the Ahsoka story and things like that, but I just, you know, let's go beyond that. Let's start going back to the Skywalker type. These are the blockbuster movies. We'll occasionally do these solo stories like Rogue One, like Solo, things like that, and then we'll continue this route. But and those can be the fun movies, like The Mandalorian and Grogu, where you just go into it, you expect to have a blast. And I saw so many people, even on TikTok, they were like, this isn't what I wanted. Why is everyone saying that this isn't like good? This is what I wanted. Just I was walking outside of the theater, and someone was walking outside of the theater, and they're like, I've seen so many people say that this was just a uh, couple of Mandalorian episodes strung together. And he's like, that's exactly what I want. It's like, have you guys heard of the bean soup theory? It's like, this lady on TikTok says, here is my bean soup recipe. And then someone in the comments goes, well, what if I don't like beans? What can I replace it with? And, it's like, it's a bean soup recipe. This is my recipe that I was just sharing online. That's the whole theory behind it, is that people are going to be like, well, what about me? It's like, what if people have a tendency to make it about them, when I think, if you look at the family perspective, people just wanting to have fun, I think this was a safe option for a movie coming back to the big screen after 7 years. I think Starfighter is a little risky, and I hope it's good, but that's another one where I'm kind of probably definitely going to go into this with like an open mind. And maybe Starfighter, according to some of the rumors, might start to set up this next chapter of Disney movies, because I really think Star Wars needs to come back to the big screen. But with like numbers like this, let's take a peek here at some of the numbers that Mandalorian and Grogu did. 297 million with a budget of, what is this, 165 million. It definitely probably didn't do what they expected it to do, but I also don't know how much more they could have done. But let me know what you guys think about this. Are people being a little too nitpicky? Do we just need to learn how to have fun and enjoy fun movies again? They don't need to be this super masterpiece. I think Marvel is kind of suffering from the same thing right now, that people want something that's interconnected into the galaxy, and most of the things are into the Marvel universe, and they're not. So whenever something is disconnected and it's a solo story, people are disappointed. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you enjoyed The Mandalorian and Grogu, if you think people need to lighten up and have fun. But make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button for more videos, and we'll see you guys next time.